I'm asked the question quite often, is the success of our company founded on its cultural initiatives or its strategic initiatives? And I would say to you, in the first 20 years of my career, we were blessed with an incredibly thoughtful business strategy, value creation strategy, that really created the substance of the company. But in that journey, we became aware of the cultural dimensions of our company. And so I say our past to where we have been primarily shaped by a very successful business strategy, but our future is going to be profoundly impacted by the unique harmony of our cultural initiatives with our strategic initiatives. To me, the highest level of the game of business is when you can combine the full potential of your people with the full potential of a strategy. That is when you should operate at the highest level of performance as an organization, with a sense of achievement and pride for the team members who are part of it. When we teach truly human leadership, we're trying to transform people who have had management programs and work for managers into people who are leaders. And managers are people who manipulate others for their success, by my definition. And leaders are people who embrace the stewardship of the lives entrusted to them and see their responsibility for the nurturing and care of the people they have the privilege of leading. So the most important things we teach people is to become aware of the profound privilege of leadership and the courage it takes to genuinely care about the people in your care. You know, there's an interesting comparison. In the military, we teach, it's taught that officers eat last. That has nothing to do with you eat. It means that we teach our officers that your primary responsibility is the men and women in your care. That is your primary responsibility. And in business, and so there's this expression, in the military, we honor those who give themselves in service of others, and in business, we give bonuses to people who sacrifice others in service of themselves. So the question is, why can't we teach business leaders that their primary responsibility is the men and women in their care, just like we teach and honor people in the military? And to do that, we need to awaken them of that responsibility, and then we need to give them the tools of leadership, which is to genuinely to make sure that we have a sustainable business model, that we are focused on the personal growth of each of the people, that we treat them fairly and we pay them fairly and treat them superbly, and that we are committed to each individual's personal growth within the opportunity of the organization. So it's about people, purpose, and performance. It's about focusing on the people in your care around a purpose that inspires them, and then you've got to create value. You cannot be a good steward of people's lives if you do not have a business strategy that is going to create value, that gives us the opportunity to reward and give people an opportunity to express their gifts in the organization. Quite frequently I'm asked, what do we do about the people, in quotes, that don't get it? And our expression is, well, in the book we use the word courageous patience. We understand that we're the combination of 100 acquisitions. Each one is a unique situation. But quite often we find very broken cultures and broken organizations. And so the first thing we do is tell people we care about them. We are committed to their future. And quite often we get people crying when we do that, because they say, I never thought I was going to get to work for a company that cares about me, as opposed to the product or the customer or the shareholder or the banks. And so we genuinely share with them our guiding principle of leadership and what we're committed to. But if people, and then we give them courageous patience to join us in this journey when they feel comfortable and trusting our intentions. And that can vary dramatically. If we find a situation where an individual simply can't embrace this, is actually by his actions hurting other people, then we have to take an action and basically we compare it to parenting, which is called hard love. We have to address this situation in a human way, with respect and dignity for that individual, to respect that he is just unable to embrace our principles, and suggest that he may be better off in another organization. Quite often, hard love is very tough for parents to do, but when the foundation is care, when you genuinely care for the people whose lives are entrusted to you, you will do what is right for them so that they can learn and grow from the experiences. And quite often, that tough love is exactly what that child or that person needs for them to grow and to transition into the kind of leader that they should be. As we've been on this journey for about 12 years, I'm quite often asked, Why don't other companies do this? And my observation is, it's a little bit like a story. There was a gentleman climbing up, a mountain climber, and he was climbing up the side of the mountain, and he had all the rope and gear, and he was climbing up this jagged cliff. And he got close to the top, and all of a sudden his rope broke and he started falling. And he grabbed onto this branch, and he's holding on for dear life. And he looked up and he said, God, he said, I haven't been a good person, but if you'll save me, I'll be a good person, I promise, if you'll just save me. So the heavens open up and this big voice comes out and said, if you believe in me, let go of the branch. The gentleman holding on for dear life looks down, he sees 600 feet of jagged stone. He looks up 20 feet to this impossible task and he said, is there anybody else up there who could help me? And what that gentleman was doing was holding on to what he knows, okay? In our universities, we teach management. In our companies, we practice management. So what people know is what they hold on to because it's what they know and they feel safe. So when we suggest to people that they genuinely care about the people, that they look at a primary responsibility of the men and women in their care, they agree with me. Nobody disagrees. But it's like saying, do you see the moon up there? Wouldn't it be wonderful to go there? Yes, but I have no idea how to get there. People say to me, I know how to be a manager, Bob. I worked for a good manager, but I have no idea how to be a leader. So the reason that people don't embrace this, it is so far from where we are today in the way we educate and the real world experience that it have the courage to step out and say, we as an organization are going to embrace these principles. It takes a great deal of courage that many people don't have given the short-term financial focus of most organizations and necessarily the lack of data that says, how can you prove to me if I do this, we won't compromise our performance and we'll improve it. And my position is, how do you justify not caring? Because if 88% of all people in this country feel they work for an organization that doesn't care about them, if 3 out of 4 people, according to Gallup, are disengaged, what more evidence do you need that we need to change? When you look at the political climate, and when you look at the crisis in families, in communities, in conflict, and when you see the healing power, when we have people in our care for 40 hours a week and looking at them as somebody's precious child that we've been given the privilege to lead, how can you not embrace these principles? So I don't think you need to justify it. I think you need to justify, how do you justify not doing it? How do you justify, given the overwhelming statistics, to not embrace the profound impact you can make on people's lives by truly human leadership? So again, this is not a theory in our case. We grew into these practices through these revelations. Our share price has gone up 14% a year, compounded for 25 years. We've done 100 acquisitions. We've grown from 20 million to 3 billion. So what we hope to be is a model of encouragement. You can do this. You can attract investors. It can attract talent, because the number of people now that apply for positions in our companies when we open one, because they see our culture. So talent, customer impact, employee impact, giving people to perform fully. I've never had anybody give me a good reason not to do it other than they don't know how to do it. They weren't trained to do it. They haven't experienced it. They simply don't know how to transition from management to leadership. My hope, I have the privilege of speaking to business students at various parts of the country. And what I say to them is, you are my hope. You are my hope that in the time you have in the university you're in, that your university will give you an awareness of the profound opportunity you'll have in leadership to affect other people's lives. In my education, I was never taught to care. I was taught to use. I was taught to use other people for my success. And I was never taught to care or to inspire. So my hope for these students is that they will read our book, Everybody Matters, and think about it themselves from their perspective. That our professors will engage people in a dialogue about the profound responsibility of leadership, and when they leave our institutions, they will go out into the world ready to help impact the lives of the people they have the privilege of leading, and we can begin healing as a country, and we can realizing the potential of every human being in this world to realize their full potential lives of meaning and purpose. So that is my hope for the young generation who are looking for more meaning and purpose. This is the journey for meaning and purpose. There's nothing more important than businesses that have people in their care for 40 hours a week. So my hope is that through awareness of truly human leadership, our young people will want to go in business because they will see the power of business for good in the world. They won't have to do some non-for-profit cause. They will see business as a source for good in the world.